Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. It is the day after David Benavidez wears down Caleb Plant. We'll talk about that and a more surprising performance from yesterday. It's Sunday, March 26th, but first remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, let me just say, you want to figure out where the consensus is wrong, right? People out there are crowning some fighters, are saying, hey, this guy is great. Let's plug in the name. Lomachenko, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, Ryan Garcia, right? We're naming some guys who are very highly thought of, right around 135 and 140. Right now, just to understand, before I get to the David Benavidez fight, there was a performance yesterday. Styles make fights, right? A fighter doesn't have to be better than you to beat you. He just has to have a style that frustrates your style, a style that's incompatible with your way of thinking. Right? I'll give you a story that's non-boxing related. I had a friend who was in a foreign land. He was driving his car on some dirt road. There was another car coming right back at him. Right? It was a game of chicken. At the last minute, he thought, man, let me turn off. Then he realized he was in a different land, and rather than go right, he had to go left. Right? If you believe him, he's alive today because at the last minute he realized he was in a foreign country and he went left. Now, I'm just telling you, there are styles out there that can beat even the best fighter. The Jose Ramirez-Richard Kami fight is as important as anything that happened yesterday. Right? The truth about David Benavidez, and it's a truth we all have to deal with, is that the word is out on him already. The market has adjusted. He was a greater than 3-1, in some books 4-1 favorite yesterday over Caleb Plant. You're not going to get great odds on Benavidez. One of the huge questions out there for odds makers is who is the favorite in the fight, Benavidez or Canelo? I'm sure there's a lot of discussion behind closed doors right now. Well, just to understand, Jose Ramirez yesterday fought what I call a George Foreman Rumble in the Jungle style. This is the style that I thought Anthony Joshua should have used against Alexander Usyk. Ramirez is on his front foot, and he's coming in low. In other words, he has upper body movement. He's not upright where a jab can tame him. And he's throwing very hard shots at wide angles. He's determined to get to Richard Kami's body. He has the foot speed to hunt down Kami. He's prepared to make it a shootout. He's prepared to make it a referendum on Kami's body. Now, you have a lot of guys at 135 and 140 right now, right, who don't have the big power to keep a George Foreman type off of them. If that Foreman type has the foot speed, has the courage to be hyper-aggressive and to come forward throwing predominantly power shots. Right now, in fairness to Foreman, Foreman had a great jab. Right? With Foreman, if you were the opponent, you had a lot to think about. Right? But just to understand, Lomachenko, and I think Lomachenko has a chance on Haney. Right? Lomachenko doesn't have the huge punch. Lomachenko has excellent foot speed, right? Even now, at his advanced age by boxing standards. But if Ramirez is able to hunt him down, track him down, get him on his back foot, be aggressive, right? Be more aggressive than Teofimo Lopez was when he beat Lomachenko. Loma's in trouble, right? Devin Haney, great legs, great jab. If you stand upright or lean back on Devin Haney and think you're going to outbox him, you're in trouble. Smooth customer, excellent boxer. Jose Ramirez has a chance. He's the betting side of the play, in my opinion, against Devin Haney because he's going to be on his front foot. He's going to be prepared to wrestle with Devin Haney. Haney's a tall guy. Ramirez is going to remember, go to the body. Right? He finishes Kami on body shots yesterday. Ryan Garcia. You understand that if you try to hide against Ryan Garcia like Javier Fortuna did, right? If you're outside, Garcia's a tall guy. Garcia has some ring coverage. Garcia hits hard. What happens if you smother Ryan Garcia? The Gervonta Davis crowd is about to find out. Right? I'm guessing Davis is going to come in. I think Davis wins that fight, but Davis has to be more aggressive than he was against Mario Barrios. Well, just understand, Jose Ramirez yesterday was more aggressive than Davis is when he's at his most aggressive. Right? Let's talk about Josh Taylor, who beat Ramirez. There's a big question out there. Is Josh Taylor still Josh Taylor? Folks, he might not be. Also understand, too, Taylor is a southpaw. Different angles. The Jose Ramirez fight yesterday opens the door to a lot of questions for me. Understand, I'm interested in getting odds when I bet. I want to be on the betting side of the play. Even if my guy loses, like Caleb Plant, my pick against Canelo did. If the fight is close, and if you, close going into a knockout, a late knockout, if the fight is close, and your guy is showing you that he had a chance to win the fight, and you're there in rounds 8 and 9, and you're thinking, my guy still has a chance here to win on the scorecards, even though we know boxing, right, is a bit tilted toward favorites. We know judges like to vote for familiar faces, right? I know Canelo. I know Canelo's a star. That was a close round. I'm going to give it to the star. If in that environment, your dark horse is still on the track, still with a chance to win, you're on the right side of the betting play. I believe Jose Ramirez yesterday showed you that against Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Lomachenko, Ryan Garcia, right? This former champ is the right side of the betting play against all of those guys. Right? I think, take Shakur Stevenson. Smooth, southpaw, fast. You can smother speed. Right? Ramirez is getting low. He's hiding his head. He's throwing hooks where he's leaning his body. He's getting leverage. Are you sure Shakur Stevenson can handle a hyper-aggressive puncher who's insistent on being deep in the pocket and who's willing to take some shots to get in the pocket? Stevenson's KO ratio isn't that high, folks. I believe that fight's worth a look. Now let's talk about Benavidez. Let's talk about Plant. This fight did have a riveting dynamic early. Benavidez has an excellent jab. Right, folks? It's an excellent jab. I think Benavidez is the betting side of the play against Canelo, in part because of that jab. Benavidez, who's 6 feet tall, right? 6 feet tall, has a length dynamic that even a guy with great ring coverage on his left hook, a Canelo, might not be able to overcome. As blessed as Benavidez is deep in the pocket, and folks, don't kid yourself. If you look at this Caleb Plant fight, you're going to see, as Plant tires, Benavidez deep in the pocket throwing tight uppercuts, right? The whole assortment of punches. This is even while Plant is trying to hold on to him like a wet shirt, right? Benavidez is blessed in the pocket, but more importantly, don't sleep on Benavidez' jab. Against a shorter opponent, someone who's hard to find, right? Canelo is defensively blessed himself. He knows how to fight small, right? He can hide himself. I believe Canelo is better against bigger opponents. But if you have a Benavidez level jab, you can stay outside. You can be a Larry Holmes. You can say, look, player, I know you got a lot of talent, but this fight does not start until you show me you can get by my jab. Right? Benavidez also, yesterday was a lot of front foot. Benavidez has a back foot. Right? Benavidez could bank some early rounds against Canelo. Force Canelo to have to be more aggressive, to get inside, to actually trade with the taller, longer Benavidez. And I'm just telling you, folks, if you have to get reckless, to get deep in the pocket, and if your strategy is to trade with Benavidez, let's just say he's unbeaten for a reason. You're actually playing into his game, right? So I think Benavidez, whoever you think wins that Benavidez-Canelo fight, I think Benavidez is the betting side of the play against Canelo. Now here, in this fight, you had a guy with great legs and a great left hook that he has ring coverage on. Right? Understand, Caleb Plant stops Anthony Durrell, right? Former champion. Stops him with a left hook. He has a great left hook. Right? The opening rounds here, the first 4 or 5 rounds against Benavidez, he takes away Benavidez' jab. He's doing things that most fighters in the weight class can't do because they don't have his legs. Right? So with his legs, he's farther away than an arm's length from Benavidez. Benavidez' volume drops. Benavidez, who likes to pepper you with the jab, can't even land the jab. Caleb Plant, of course, being a mover, knows how to move backing up. And because he has ring coverage, he can be more than an arm's length away from Benavidez, and when there's an opening, he can get there. He can hit Benavidez with his left hook because he steps into it. He's more than an arm's length away. He steps into it. He's halfway there. And then he throws the left hook, and he's able to come forward with it and then dart away. So, early in this fight, Caleb Plant is on the outskirts of the pocket. Then he's outside the pocket. He's not letting an inside the pocket dynamic develop. Folks, it's good stuff. The problem is, and look at the tape, you know what I think about Caleb Plant. Beautiful fighter, right? He looks more charismatic in the ring when things are going his way than does Benavidez. But he doesn't have the hard right hand. Right? He doesn't have that right hand where if Benavidez focuses on blocking his left hook, he can come across and smash Benavidez with a right hand. He doesn't have it. He has a right hand where he can use it as part of a combination. But he doesn't have the right hand to keep Benavidez honest. So as Benavidez goes to his left away from Caleb Plant's left hook, Plant doesn't have that hard right hand to say, player, where you going? Right? No, you're going to come back in the pocket out of necessity because I have something on this shoulder that's dangerous. Right? And I'm just telling you, Benavidez, I don't care what the image is. Boxing has a poker element to it. Benavidez is a computer. He is a boxing nerd. If you're one-handed, he knows it. If you're one-handed, you're not going to beat him because he'll know to block your hand. You know, I mentioned that he's defensively blessed, and people said, which Benavidez are you talking about? Folks, a big part of defense is knowing which punches to take. Right? Benavidez here knew he could take Plant's right hand. Knew it. Right? Understood he had to block Plant's left hook. Did it. He's never hurt in the fight. Right? Never. He's never in danger of being knocked out. Understand. The reason the fight goes the distance, now maybe it's sour grapes on my part because my hedge, my bet was Benavidez to win, hedge with Benavidez by stoppage. My hedge didn't have a chance with Kenny Bayless's refereeing. Right? Let's just say Plant was allowed to grab and hold Benavidez so much that Benavidez didn't have the opportunity to progress to the knockout. Right, Plant? Let's just say you knew going into the last 2 rounds that Plant needed something big to get back in the fight, and Plant's primary goal, at least to this viewer, was to survive the fight. Right? But make no mistake, Benavidez is in complete control. At the end of the fight, Benavidez is two-handed. There are times where Plant grabs Benavidez. Plant keeps coming in low to grab Benavidez. Right? The holding is a big part of success at high-level boxing. Right? I haven't seen the fight yet, but I heard that Lawrence Okolie got penalized for holding in his cruiserweight title fight. Right? That tells me that Okolie is viable at heavyweight. The holding allowed Plant to survive. But make no mistake, by the time you got to round 6, Benavidez knew how to defuse Plant. Benavidez started closing the gap on Plant. When Benavidez got inside and was throwing hooks, folks, this is that fighter who can throw tight hooks with both hands. Right? Look at Plant's face. You'll notice it's swollen. The way the human body is, we don't get to really see the swelling on a guy's body. I'm just telling you, Benavidez hit Plant with hellacious body shots. So where does this take us? Given that the wise guys, as they're known, right, the people who bet on boxing, realize who Benavidez is. Realize that this is an unbeaten champ. He's younger than you think. Several years younger than Errol Spence, for example, than Jamel Charlo. And he's a master. Right? Where does this take us? He's now Canelo's mandatory. Now, as I said, Canelo, to me, doesn't owe boxing anything. I view Canelo as on the last few holes on the back 9, figuratively speaking. Right? Canelo, who showed up at 168 and beat every champion, including unbeaten guys like Billy Joe Saunders, like Callum Smith, like Caleb Plant. Right? Canelo has done the Hall of Fame work. Canelo also is a multi-weight division guy. Right? Now, between you and me and everybody else watching YouTube videos, I don't think he can beat a Bivol. Right? I don't. I think Bivol's too two-handed, too defensively blessed, moves too well, has figured out Canelo. In other words, Bivol has a learning curve, just like Benavidez does. Once he's seen you for a few rounds, he's cracked your code. Right? He knows he can defend himself against Canelo. Right? I'm just telling you, too, there are big money fights. And I mean huge money fights at 175. I would not be surprised, as game as Canelo has been, to fight Floyd Mayweather, Miguel Cotto, Danny Jacobs, the unbeaten fighters, champions I've just mentioned, right? Saunders, Smith, Plant. As game as Canelo has been, I would not be surprised if the Benavidez fight never happens. We can come up with public excuses why, right? Hey, I'm not going to fight La Gente, right? You know, I'm not going to fight my own people, right? Whatever excuse you want to come up with, right? Canelo could dodge Benavidez, conceivably, while fighting a legacy more favorable opponent. I'll give you some examples. The cruiserweight champ right now, one of them, is Badou Jack, who's very popular in Dubai, right? Very popular. You know, Canelo could say, hey, you know, I want to go for the cruiserweight title. Badou Jack, quite frankly, and I know he beat Makabu, and I know he looked great in that fight, right? But let's be real here. I thought Canelo would beat Makabu. Let me just say that Badou Jack looked uninspired in some fights before that Makabu fight. You know, Canelo could say, hey, I want the cruiserweight title. That certainly would look good on the resume. If you're looking at Canelo's championships and you're saying, wow, he was champ at 154, 160, 168, 175, 200, right? That would certainly look good if you're going down his resume a few years from now, after he retires, right? And the thing is, you know, with Badou Jack, you're going to be around the pocket. Badou Jack's older than Canelo, needs to pace himself. Canelo's a master in the pocket. Canelo doesn't want to deal with a mover, right? Didn't Caleb Plant take him into the later rounds, right? Understand, if it's payday, Arthur Beterbiev is huge in Canada, right? Who wouldn't want to see Canelo Arthur Beterbiev, right? Beterbiev, though, has a full dance card. Callum Smith is out there. Bivol is out there. Let's say Canelo wants to do the world tour, right? The Ali type of, hey, I'm in Manila, hey, I'm in Japan, you know, hey, I'm in the UK. If Canelo wants a big fight in the UK, you tell me if there would be an MTC for Canelo against Anthony Yard, right? But let me just say, of all the guys I've just named, I believe the toughest opponent for Canelo is David Benavidez, right? Understand, that Benavidez jab that you did not see in the first 4 or 5 rounds of the Caleb Plant fight against Canelo, it would be front and center, right? Canelo would have a hard time getting past that jab. Let me also point out, too, that one of the secrets to Canelo is the fact that he has always been, as I've been here for years saying, one of the hardest punchers pound for pound in boxing, right? Just understand, so too is David Benavidez. He's an outsized puncher, right? I'll put it diplomatically this way. I noticed that all of us have amnesia. Someone someplace is going to pick up the paper and is going to see that Caleb Plant went the distance with David Benavidez. So for Benavidez' next fight, against no doubt a world-class opponent, that person might say, you know what, I'm getting great odds here on this next opponent who doesn't move like Caleb Plant, right? Who doesn't have the multi-year-long rivalry with David Benavidez that Caleb Plant had, right? I got the feeling here testosterone took over late in this fight, right? Pride took over. I believe Caleb Plant thought to himself, look, man, okay, it's not my night, but this dude is not going to knock me out. I believe that became a mission here. Somebody else who doesn't have the multi-year rivalry with David Benavidez might say, man, it's not my night. What's the point here? Gee, this guy hits hard. I'm just going to have my corner wave this off. Right? Benavidez' next fight, folks, you're going to get value, whoever the opponent is, on whether the fight goes a distance. Because most of Benavidez' fights do not. Right? And let's face it, Caleb Plant has some of the best legs in boxing. Just odds-wise, the next opponent is not. Right? So, Benavidez delivered, did not get the stoppage. Right? Okay, whatever. He delivered, though, got the win. Just understand, this guy is better than you think. Right? He has a long runway ahead of him. He's already been the champ at 168. I don't see anyone at 168 who's going to be able to deal with this guy. The question is, does he push it and go to 175? Then does he take the great leap to go to cruiser? Right? Just understand, Benavidez used to be much heavier than he is right now. Right? If a Badu Jack, and Badu Jack's a KG vet, right? Multiple division champion. If a Badu Jack announces that his next fight is David Benavidez, I would take Benavidez in that match. Right there again, Benavidez with the jab could bank some rounds early. Benavidez hits hard, outsized puncher. It's outsized punchers like Canelo, like Benavidez, like Manny Pacquiao, who can travel through weight classes and make it look easier than it is, right? But Benavidez needs to be careful. Once you gain the weight to fight at a higher weight class, your body changes. Right? Like Roy Jones, you might have problems then losing the weight to get back to the weight class where you were. Excellent performance by Benavidez. I thought he showed patience, tenacity, couldn't land the jab early. Then later, started landing it, came inside, started punishing Caleb Plant. Right? Kenny Bayless, one of my favorite refs, had an off night. Right? The holding was clearly excessive. Al Bernstein kept pointing it out on the telecast. Right? It's the holding that allowed Plant to go the distance. That's how I saw it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.